The Flash is a comic that is often overlooked on comic stands, and it's a shame. For years, The Flash has been one of the better comics DC has produced. Recently, it lost its longtime writer and switched to a new writer, Jeremy Adams. Who is Jeremy Adams? Well, he's actually someone new to comics. He just started writing as part of Future State, and he wrote the backup stories of Black Adam in the Suicide Squad comics. I liked those stories. I thought they were pretty good. And I've been giving his new run on Flash a chance. And it's been a lot of fun. This particular story in issue 770 features Jay Garrick, the Flash of World War II, from the Justice Society and All-Star Squadron. And in this particular issue, Jay Garrick is fighting Adolf Hitler. Yes, that's right. We get Nazi punching, Adolf Hitler, the Spear of Destiny, all of that great stuff comes out in this issue. Now, this is somewhat of a retcon of the secret history of the origin of the Justice Society of America that has been told several times before in the DC universe. So I'm not sure exactly what all has changed and what has stayed, but I can tell you that instead of Green Lantern and the Flash being captured, this time it's the Flash and the Ray. Now this is interesting because the Ray was actually part of Task Force X with Uncle Sam and the Freedom Fighters. So to see him here with Jay Garrick means that there have been a lot more changes to the DC universe in the past with Infinite Frontier and all of the stuff that has happened because of it. But the story itself is a lot of fun. Basically, to make a long story short, Wally West is trapped in the Speed Force, and he's flipping through different speedsters in history, going to the future and the far past, and at this point in time, World War II, to inhabit the body of Jay Garrick as he fights Adolf Hitler. I don't want to say much more than that, because you really should read this. This book is a lot of fun, not just this particular issue, but this entire run of The Flash. But that's also one of the problems with The Flash, and it has been for a long time. It's difficult to pick up one single issue of The Flash and read it out of context. You can, and it would probably work okay with this particular issue. But to get the full story, you really should go back to 768, right after the Infinite Frontier relaunch, and start reading from there. Nonetheless, this is a really good story. Again, a lot of fun, and it's one that I really enjoyed reading. The artwork throughout this issue comes from Jack Herbert and Brandon Peterson, and it's colored by Michael. By Michael. And I have to say, I really like this art style. It is a realistic style, but it still packs a lot of action and energy. I've seen other artists do this type of realistic looking artwork, but it often looks very stilted, and it looks like a lot of times they'll use a 3D rendering program to get their figures in the right pose, and then they just draw on top of it. Mike Deodato from Marvel Comics is someone who comes to mind. Here, though, this looks like it has a lot of energy and fluidity. And that may be this combination of Herbert and Peterson, because I've seen Brandon Peterson's art before, And sometimes it works, and sometimes it does look a little stiff. So I think this combination of the two of them working together is producing some of the best stuff. Now the colors from Michael are pretty good. In fact, I'd say for the most part, they're excellent except for the very first page. In fact, he makes a huge blunder on this first page, one that is not repeated anywhere else throughout the book, which makes it even more odd. See, Jay Garrick on this first page is shown with gray hair on his temples. He's shown that way because in the modern era, he's an old man, and he has gray on his temples. However, this story is in World War II. He is not an old man at this time period, which means he should not have any gray hair. It just makes it weird. But I think he noticed that he had made that mistake by the time he got to page 3, because the gray hair was gone, and it never returns anywhere else. Now, perhaps we're going to find out that at some point in the future, Jay Garrick decided to add some fake gray to his hair in order to make his secret identity different from that of the Flash. So when people see him with the helmet on as the Flash and see him walking around as a normal guy, the hair looks different, so he can claim that it's not him. Maybe. It seems a little far-fetched, though. I think he just made a mistake on that first page and didn't have time to go back and fix it. But every other appearance of Jay Garrick throughout the rest of the book looks fine. So, I'll give him a pass. Even though that mistake is still there, the artwork itself throughout the issue looks fantastic. And then there is one final page with artwork by Kevin Maguire that's hilarious. I can't show it to you because it's not on the approved artwork from DC Comics, but if you want to spoil it for yourself, you can go out and find it, I'm sure. But it's, again, something that makes me love this series, and especially that cliffhanger ending page that's leading to the next issue, is the type of cliffhanger ending that makes me desperately want the next issue. Flash 770 is 22 pages of story for $3.99. Honestly, in today's comic book marketplace, you can't beat it. That's a great price for that amount of pages of story. And I never felt like the story dragged or any of those pages were a waste. Sometimes there's too many talking heads or two-page spreads that don't really accomplish anything other than give you a cool visual but don't really do much for the story. But none of that's in this particular issue. This is a great deal at $4. Okay, so maybe you haven't gotten it by now. I really like the artwork. I really like the story. It's a great value at cover price. I don't know if I need to spell it out any further, but just in case you're having a hard time following along, this comic is fantastic. You need to start buying The Flash because it's one of the greatest comics on the stands. I'll just say it, of all time, ever, anywhere. Everybody should be reading it. The Flash is great. There you are.